Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews. Today we are back with another brand new Mattel Jurassic World release. As you can see, we have the Chaos Theory Gigantic Trackers Suchomimus. And this is a figure that I know many people were looking forward to, myself of course included, and I will say it looks quite nice, especially when it comes to the paint apps having significantly more than I'm used to when it comes to Mattel's figures. So that's definitely a huge plus for the figure straight out of the gate. You can see the packaging, pretty much the standard when it comes to Mattel. No real differences when it comes to the packaging here. And when we take a look at the back, you can of course see a nice shot of the Suchomimus, and then down here you can see the Styxosaurus, which is also set to release in just a few days. So let's go ahead, pop this out of the box and check it out. So here is our Suchomimus now in all of its glory. And I must say, it looks pretty darn nice overall. The tail length, though, of course, is so short on the figure, which is extremely distracting. But past that point, I would say it does look pretty good. And again, the paint apps are definitely nicely done. Lots of paint work on this one, which is surprising. Unfortunately, no nail paint on the hands, of course. But outside of that, again, it does look pretty darn good as far as both the sculpt and paint. If we bring it in nice and close, you can see the head sculpt looks really good. You've got some nice brownish tones for the primary body color, as well as a red-orange for the eye with a nice small slit-like black pupil. We can see we have a dark gray or a black tone that kind of patterns up through the face, basically up from the neck, and then circles all around the eye socket and then up into the snout. We can see the nostrils of the dinosaur right there. Also, some pretty big injuries right here on the lower jaw. You can see basically like some chunks of meat taken out of this, and that is pretty common lately when it comes to Mattel. A lot of their newer figures, they've been including all sorts of injuries and scars and everything on, and you can see this one is absolutely no exception. It obviously has them. We can actually see, wow, there are a lot. We can see them even on the other side, basically moving along the underside there of the lower jaw. Of course, we've got an articulated jaw for the Suchomimus. We also have those really nicely sculpted teeth, and again, the much more genuine, sharp-looking teeth for the figure. Of course, they are that kind of softer material, which is a huge plus for the Suchomimus. When we turn it around and take a look over here, everything pretty much looks the same again, except for the fact that we have different injuries over here. Again, massive chunks taken out of the face, and you can even see more up here on the snout, actually quite a few. This one would be another figure that would be pretty fun to repaint, just because there would be a lot that you could do with it when it comes to like scars and actual open injuries. Like some of these definitely look like current open injuries, these do, and then some other areas, like maybe up here in the snout, they could be scars. You've got quite a few kind of leading through the eyes, so clearly this dinosaur just narrowly escaped going blind in this eye because it's got some slashes right through the eye pretty much. But it looks pretty good as far as that goes. Maybe a little overkill, I would say, with the injuries, but again, maybe the dinosaur just gets into a whole lot of fights. You can see the inside of the mouth looks quite nice. We've got a really nicely textured tongue in here, and the detailing and everything looks pretty good through the inside of the mouth. You have a nice, fairly dark pinkish tone in there and a nice gloss coat. As you begin to move down through the course of the neck of the dinosaur, you can see more injuries and stuff popping up, but you'll also notice again that darker tone patterning down through the rest of the neck. You'll also see some very nice, very impressive scale detail. There are some more injuries basically right here on the side of the neck, and then we've got a pretty cool kind of vibrant green moving along the underside of the dinosaur. You can see starting right there at the bottom of the lower jaw and moving down along the underside. We can see the throat itself, and again the texturing looks quite nice as you move down. Looks like we've got an action feature that includes neck articulation. We can very clearly see again that joint for the neck. As we move back here into the body, you see that darker tone basically overtake everything up here on the back and then kind of splatter down along the side of the dinosaur, and it does look really nice. There are actually two different versions of this Suchomimus supposed to come out. You never know with Mattel because sometimes their stuff gets canceled, but there is this version and then there's another version that has a little bit less paint application. But I will say, as far as this one goes, the paint apps look great. Again, you've got all sorts of that black tone basically running down here and patterning down, but I also love when you look up here, you can see see some of the brown kind of creeping through some of the black, which is also quite nice. We do have more injuries, and you could probably pick them out as you move through. They're basically everywhere on the figure, but then we do actually have some scars that are painted, which is nice. You can see 3 slash marks right here, which originally when I had seen this, I almost thought it was like an extreme damage figure or something like that, because they sort of usually have that kind of thing going on, but as it turns out, it is a Gigantic Trackers figure. As you move down into the arm, you can see some nice muscle definition, some more injuries leading down. You've got some nice scoots moving down through the fingers, and the nails sculpted pretty decently. You can't even see a little fine detail within the nails. A little bit of a gloss coat added to them, but no actual paintwork, sadly. We can move the arms forward and back and out away from the body, which is nice. Very nice articulation. The arms are actually quite flexible. You can see they're kind of a rubber material, which allows you to be able to bend and pose them even more. But as you move back into the stomach, again, the scale detail and everything looks really good. We do have the fax app code. If you would like to add that one to your collection, you can see the app code right there to add it to your collection. Continuing to move along here back into the thigh, you can see again more really nice looking scale detail, more nice looking skin texture, as well as some nice muscle definition, and again more injuries moving through. But look at all of the paintwork down the leg. You've got so much patterning as you move down through the leg. You can see the knee right there, nice calf muscle here with some more slices in it as you move down, and you can see the coloration overtakes the feet, which is really cool. Of course, we have tons more injuries the entire way down. I'm going to go ahead and go on record as saying that this dinosaur has lived a pretty terrible life and definitely is not in great shape. But as we move down, we can see the scoots running down the toes. You can also see really nice, quite vibrant scale detail leading down through the toes. Even the nails actually have injuries through them, which is crazy. Mattel went absolutely insane when it comes to the injuries on this. We can also see the dew claws are sculpted out. The nails kind of have the look of being painted on the feet because, again, we have the dark tone for the feet, but you do see a gloss coat which kind of differentiates them, which is nice. Articulation wise, of course, you've got leg articulation forward and back, and they do come out away from the body, but not a whole lot. They don't have a whole lot of range of movement there. As you move up here into the tail, you can see kind of like some wrinkling and stuff in the skin leading up. Again, the scale detail looks really good. We have a very impressive injury right here. Like, that basically looks like we could see the muscle in there, which is not good news for this dinosaur. As we lead out, you can again see more injuries leading through the rest of the tail there, and then more of the patterning actually leading out onto the tail. Talk about awesome. It should be something we see on all of the figures. It's not, unfortunately, but it is nice when we do get to see it. But you can see, again, actual paintwork leading out onto the tail. Unfortunately, that green tone moving along the underside, which honestly is a little bit too vibrant for my taste and kind of stands out a little bit awkwardly when it comes to the coloration of the rest of the figure. Like, I feel like that green is a little out of place, but unfortunately it does end here in basically the groin area. You do have more articulation in the tail, but again, I believe it's probably part of the action feature. But as we lead out, on top of, again, numerous more injuries, you can see a few more that are actually painted, and shockingly, they chose to paint them out here on the tail, which is pretty surprising. Not something that you usually see from Mattel. And actually, before I go too far, I believe, yes, there is ankle articulation, something that I failed to mention just a moment ago. And there is also a spot here which swivels, so you can see you've got a little more extra articulation right there. But as you come around to the other side of the Suchomimus, again, pretty much the same thing as we saw on the first side. Leading down, you can see it looks pretty decent overall. Again, the paintwork is definitely really nice on this. Like I said, I do appreciate the injuries and stuff, the scars, but I feel like this one is incredibly excessive. Like, look at the thigh. It is so destroyed. I would almost believe that this is the corpse of a Suchomimus. It has so many injuries on it, and even though I do like the fact that we have injuries and scars and stuff on some of the figures, I feel like we need to tone it down a little bit moving forward because there's just a little too many on this. Similar to like the pterosaurs in the newer figures. Like, both of the pterosaurs that have released are definitely way too beat up, like they shouldn't even be able to fly. But you can see even more injuries moving down into the hand. Again, you've got the decent looking hand sculpt there, the nice muscle definition and everything moving back. Pretty smooth transition to the green underbelly of the dinosaur. More of the really nice paintwork and patterning moving down through the course of the leg all the way down into the foot sculpt, which I do really quite like. And then we lead out again into the tail. But unfortunately, as I said, you can see how short that tail is. It is definitely really quite short overall. But as far as the actual action feature, again, we're going to basically push the tail down, it looks like. So we'll go ahead. Okay, I see. It's got a snapping feature. If we go down, it goes down. If we go the other way, it goes up. And you can also twist the head, which causes a different chomping action feature. So let me just go ahead and actually move the camera up just a hair so that we can kind of get a little bit of a better visual of this. So basically, again, chomping in pretty much every way. Well, it didn't chomp that time. There we go. Pretty cool action feature. Nothing incredible, but pretty fun. I do like the fact that the mouth stays closed, because sometimes Mattel will give you those figures where the mouth is basically open the whole time. So it is nice to have one here with the mouth staying closed. As far as a size goes on this guy, actually, we're going to turn it around because the tail curves toward this side. So it would just be easier to kind of get that end of the tail. You're looking at about 14¼ inches, or around 36, maybe a little over 36 centimeters. And then for a height on our Suchomimus, pretty much right there at 6 inches, or around 15½ centimeters. For a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, Robert Muldoon, and the Collect A human being next to our Suchomimus from Mattel. And you can see it's pretty much the size range you would expect it to be. The Gigantic Trackers are always in the same similar size range. They usually don't stray too far away from that standard size range, and you can see the Suchomimus is definitely in that standard Gigantic Tracker size range. We've also got a Mattel Velociraptor and Dilophosaurus next to our Suchomimus, just to continue to give you an idea of the size. We've also got a few size comparisons with some other recent Chaos Theory releases. Here is the Kentrosaurus that has recently come out, as well as the gorgeous Ceratosuchops as well. Again, what you can see is a bit smaller than the Suchomimus. And then we have one final comparison here with the Siatsmacororum from Mattel as well, which you can see, again, the same size here basically as the Suchomimus. I did want to actually get the old Suchomimus out, but I have been like moving everything around in my basement, and I tried to find it. I don't know exactly where one of the bins are that I have it in, so I'm going to have to find it. I'm going to try to find it and then do a comparison, maybe in like a shorts video within the next few days. But this obviously is going to show you, again, basically what the size is for this figure. So this brand new Mattel Jurassic World Chaos Theory Gigantic Trackers Suchomimus is a pretty cool figure. Honestly, I think the only thing that I can say that is really wrong with it is the tail is so short. Not that the Mattel figures don't usually always have short tails, but for some reason this one seems a little more distracting than the usual short tails are. I don't know what it is about it. I don't know if it's just the way it curves. Something about it looks awkward on the figure. I really would have liked to have seen a longer tail, even if that meant having the, you know, like maybe the end of the tail disconnected, and then we just basically push that in once we pull it out of the packaging. A longer tail, and just in general on the Mattel figures, longer tails would be a massive plus. Like when you look at some of the sauropods that are in like the Gigantic Trackers line and stuff, they always end up being gypped on tail length, and the Suchomimus definitely has that issue going on. We also have a lack of nail paint on the hands, which is a bummer, and I wouldn't mind seeing the green coloration move the entire way out through the tail, even though I'm not a big fan of the green color of the underside of it. If you're going to apply paint down there, it would be nice to see it go the entire way through. But outside of that, the paintwork I think is really well done on this, and the sculpt overall is quite nicely done. There's a lot of very impressive fine detail, definitely vibrant detail, and I love the fact that we have so much coloration from head all the way out to the tail, and even some of the scars are painted. But speaking of those scars, we've got way too many injuries on this dinosaur. It is absolutely insane just how many injuries are through this entire figure. I kind of hope that that other version of the Suchomimus that's coming out doesn't have quite as much as this one does, but at the same time, it would be interesting to get another one of these and repaint it and actually focus on painting out every injury on this, because if they were actually all painted, I'd be really intrigued to see how they all stand out on the final product, because there are so many. It is cool, again, to have that kind of stuff on the figures. I think it's gets a nice dose of realism, but there are definitely way too many on this figure. But overall, it's a pretty darn nice looking Suchomimus with a little bit short of a tail and a pretty fun action feature and decent articulation, as well as some very nice paint apps. So without a doubt, definitely a fun figure and definitely a figure worth picking up. It's also, in my opinion, a lot nicer than the older, kind of awkward looking Suchomimus Mattel released. But if you are interested in grabbing one, I will include a link in the description to Amazon.com. It seems like it kind of pops in and out of stock, so if it's not in stock now, just wait, keep checking. It should pop back into stock at some point soon. And of course, grab it and add it to your collection, and like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.